Dragon Master here, and I want to welcome you to Star Wars in Earth, Episode 13, Codename Thrawn's Alliance. So, I have no announcements to make, so I want to get straight into the video. So, without further ado, let's begin. We start our journey off with Shepard, Garrus, and Taug on a shuttle currently heading down to the planet they received a distress call from. Their primary mission right now is to see if anyone is still alive, and if they don't find anything, they are to return to the shuttle and head back to the ship, and then head back to Earth. So they land in a clearing away from a ginormous jungle where the distress call was emanating from. Shepard decides to go on his own and orders Tal, Garrus, and a few other of the soldiers that came with them to basically search and guard the area while he goes deep into the jungle. And everyone agrees to this. And Shepard walks through the thick jungle and has his motion tracker on just to make sure that there are no animals that might attack him. Shepard walks at least 10 minutes before his motion detector detects some movement. Shepard immediately spins around to where it was emanating, but he saw nothing. And then again. He knows he's being watched right now, and he decides to do the most rational thing he can. He says that he's with the United Nations Space Command, and he is here to rescue anyone who wants to be rescued, as they received a distress call. And he gets no reply. But then someone jumps from behind, and he immediately turns around and meets the cold red eyes of some sort of blue figure. And he is surprised, but then he immediately composes himself and recognizes what species this alien is. It's a Chiss. And Shepard, he was part of the fleet that went to the Chiss Ascendancy, and he and the others got to meet the Chiss Ascendancy's higher ups. And with lots of talk and conversation between Hackett, Anderson, and Udini, the Chiss Ascendancy became a trading partner with United Nations Space Command and all its colonies, along with Earth. But the Chiss did not want to join them, and the Terrans were all right with that. Shepard, while he was on the capital of the Chiss Ascendancy, he decided to visit the libraries they had and check the books and historian records, as he was a bit interested in this species and wanted to learn more about them. So, for a couple hours before they had to leave, he studied through the books and all the holographs and stuff. But something did pique his interest, and that was a name called Thrawn. He decided to do a little more research about Thrawn and discovered that Thrawn was in, the Chiss Ascendancy's military. I don't know what it's called. And he was, pretty high up ranked there. He was very talented and skilled, they say. But he had troubles, and he even had a brother, but his brother had basically gone missing, and everyone presumed his brother was dead. But Thrawn had done some pretty dark things he had seen, but he couldn't really say because the files that contained this were mostly, really hidden and basically not been able to read it, and the historian who was working there would not tell him, as he couldn't understand the language. So he gave up on this Thrawn person and then headed back to his ship. And as they departed, he was still a bit interested about the name, but he decided to give it up. So they went back to Earth, and that was 3 years ago. Now to the present, Shepard was looking straight at this Chiss, and he immediately asked him if he was the one who had sent a distress call, and Thrawn replied saying yes, in Basic. But Thrawn only knew a little bit of Basic, so Shepard had some problems understanding him. But Thrawn was able to answer a few questions, like how long he had been here for, and also his name. He told him that he had been 3 years stranded on this planet, but he had also his name was Thrawn, and Shepard immediately knew who this was. Shepard knew he was banished and had done some dark things, but he didn't know what these dark things he had done. But still, he was standing right in front of this Thrawn, and he decided that he would take Thrawn with him if he wanted to, and asked Thrawn if he wanted to come with them back to Earth. And Thrawn agreed, explaining that he would like safe passage to the Empire. This surprised Shepard that he knew about the Empire, but he decided to comply and agreed. And as they made their way back, Garrus contacted Shepard and told him that they had received emergency commands from United Nations Space Command and that there was some kind of attack going on at their colonies. And Shepard immediately ran and told Thrawn to hurry up. As they made it to the shuttle, he asked what was going on, and Garrus really didn't know that much. All they know is that there was some kind of attack going on at the colonies. So they immediately got on board and departed the planet. Tal, Garrus, and the other soldiers looked at Thrawn a bit curiously. None of the soldiers had gone to the Chiss Ascendancy, and Tal and Garrus knew little about anything about the Chiss. So they arrived on board the ship. Thrawn was allowed to accompany them to the bridge, and they immediately talked to the captain, who said they were heading to Earth. But they wanted to head to Earth, but they had received reports about some kind of attack going on at the colonies, and they wanted to go to the colonies. But Shepard said if they were being ordered to head back to Earth, then that means they must be mobilized in the fleets. The captain agreed to this logic, and they immediately went into hyperspace and headed to Earth. Thrawn watched the crew with some interest. He noticed that they were mostly humans, but there were a few Turians, as he had asked Shepard about what race Garrus was. But he saw no Quarians, which was Tal's race, which he had asked Shepard again of what her race was. He noted that Garrus' species must be the first, really main species to join the Terran's military. And Shepard was impressed about his answer and was able to figure out that quickly. They had a bit of a chat before they arrived. Thrawn asked about the Terrans, and Shepard asked about the Chiss, and Thrawn told him little about the Chiss, mainly that he had created a sort of hand, a basic group, but the people in charge didn't like that, so he was banished. But Shepard knew he wasn't telling the whole truth. He knew he had done some dark things. And Shepard, in return, told him about the Terrans and about the Empire, if he wanted to know anything about that. Thrawn was interested in Palpatine, as he had heard about Emperor Palpatine from Anakin Skywalker, but he didn't tell him how he knew Emperor Palpatine. Then Shepard and the team, along with Thrawn, arrived at Earth, and they immediately saw many ships mobilizing, and they immediately headed for the command ship, docked, and then began their march to the bridge. Thrawn was very interested in the technology, what he saw. He said he was impressed with how much the Terrans had grown, as he had heard them not long ago that they were basically fighting amongst themselves, but he was impressed that they had been able to accomplish all this. Shepard listened, but also ignored him, as he was squarely focused on this whole invasion or attacks on the colonies going on. They made it to the bridge, and Anderson and Hackett were waiting for them. Anderson and Hackett told them about this whole sort of invasion going on of the colonies. They told them that about a week ago, exploring ship had gone missing. They hadn't thought much of it because sometimes that happens, but the ship had gone deep into dark space. But about a couple hours ago, it had returned. But not just that, many other ships had come with it. But these ships looked damaged and looked quite old. But the ship thought it was, maybe they had found some sort of lost fleet or something of ships and decided to help them. So they docked with the ship, but they received no message, or when they called them, all they got was radio static. They believed there must have been some damages. So when they docked, however, when the doors opened, the man about to greet them, greet the people was immediately killed by a tentacle, and then some creatures began charging in and killing everyone. From what the reports say, they were sort of like bug-like creatures, but from another perspective, they didn't look that much like bugs. These creatures attacked all over the ship, and eventually they took it over and took control of the ship. And the fleet immediately headed to the first colony that was being under attack. They took over all of the ships, docking, and then killing everyone on board, taking over the ships and moving on, but also deploying forces onto the planet. And now there were battles happening across 6 different colonies in the the midder rim of their colonies. Shepard asked if this new race of aliens had a name, and they had recently just come up with a name for this alien race, the Rachni. They didn't explain how they came up with this name, however. But Thrawn, to everyone's surprise, who Anderson and Hackett just noticed, said that he knew of what species they were talking about. Anderson and Hackett asked who this was, and Shepard told them that it was Thrawn. He had told Anderson about he was researching someone before they left named Thrawn, but Anderson didn't think much of it. But now seeing Thrawn, he realized what Shepard was meaning now. Thrawn was a Chiss. Hackett and Anderson knew about the Chiss. They had talked with their leaders, and they immediately asked how he knew this alien race. He told them after he was banished, before he crash landed on the planet, he had stopped by on a near planet deep in the unknown regions, and he had discovered a species there. They were currently taking over another ship. He noted that this species was very intelligent and could adapt to technology very quickly. He noted that this species seemed like they were planning to expand to other worlds, and that they were studying the maps on the planet, well, on the ships that they had taken control of. He studied them for a couple days before he departed, but made sure he wasn't caught. And he did keep some of the data that he had on them. He had killed one and basically examined its corpse, and he currently had the data pad on him. He took it out. It was a bit damaged and old, but they could get it repaired. Anderson and Hackett were grateful for this, and they told him that in exchange for helping them with this information, well, giving them any information, they would give him whatever he wanted. But what he said shocked everyone in the room. He asked to help fight the Rachni, and they immediately asked why. He said that he wanted to go meet with Emperor Palpatine and knew the Terrans were his best option. And since they control the unknown regions, he thought it would be most likely to go to them. So he told them that he had faked crash landing and made it look like this. Shepard was a bit shocked, but also not surprised, as he had studied Thrawn and knew he was a strategist. So he immediately asked that he waited 3 years for them to come by. And he explained he would have waited longer, but he knew he had to be patient with them. So he was patient and waited. He also told them that he knew Arachni would do a lot of damage to the Empire, as the Empire didn't have some smart people in the higher up ranks. They had some smart people, but not all of them were very smart and strategizing, well, really, with smart moves they make in battles. So he knew they would do very good, well, the Rachni would do lots of damage to the Empire. So he knew if he helped the Terrans contain them here, then the Empire would be grateful to him, and he would be able to make some connections, because he knew the Empire would not like aliens. But he also knew he wanted to make a good impression with Palpatine by showing him his skills. The Terrans were very much shocked and surprised by this, but Shepard knew Thrawn would be a good asset to them, so he told them that they should give Thrawn a chance, and Hackett and Anderson reluctantly agreed, as they trusted Shepard. They told Shepard to go to one of the colonies that his sister was currently on to help her out, and he told them that Thrawn could take their ship along with 2 dreadnought cruisers and a small fleet of fighters. If he could manage to drive them off the colony, they would contact Palpatine. and Thrawn immediately accepted. That wasn't much of a challenge. So he immediately went to back to the ship, but Hackett Anderson asked if Thrawn could be trusted. He said that Thrawn can be trusted in some ways, but not fully, as he knew what Thrawn was capable of. So Shepard turned back and walked back to his ship with Garrus and Tal, along with a squad of Krogan that were coming along to help support them, as they were special forces Krogan. So they mainly rendezvoused with the two dreadnoughts and a small fleet of fighters and departed to hyperspace to the colony known as Rachnus Prime, and that is where we are going to leave it off. So I have one thing to say, and that is I want to thank for all the support we've been receiving to the channel. We're so close to 200 subscribers, so I want to thank you all those who have been subscribing, and that's really all I have to say. So without further ado, thank you very much, and goodbye.